the girl is violated every night by her own brother. Her hands tightly bound, even as vomit soils the bedsheets. Yet, her brother shows no intention of stopping. The girl pleads continuously, but her brother becomes even more excited. Climbing onto the bed, he grabs her by the throat, satisfied only when he sees the girl's anguished expression. Then, he finally releases his grip. Constantly tormented, the girl contemplates suicide. Faced with an approaching train, she lacks the courage to choose death. The girl's name is Asemu, a kind-hearted yet timid individual. She cannot fathom why life is always filled with malice toward her. Upon arriving at school, Asemu discovers her shoe locker filled with razor blades and thumbtacks. After class, she endures a beating from her classmates in the restroom. She has grown accustomed to this life, but the tormentor, Shizuku, is starting to grow weary. Without delay, she grabs Asemu by the hair, forcing her head into the toilet. Shizuku merely wants to witness how long she can hold her breath. During class, Asemu finds the chair covered in glue. Despite her discomfort, the teacher impatiently urges her to sit. Even when the glue soaks her skirt, nobody in the class shows any sympathy. After school, Asemu finds solace in caring for stray cats on the roadside. It is the only time she experiences a hint of warmth. However, after bidding farewell to the cats, she is unaware that her only emotional refuge has been discovered by the mean girls. Returning home, the dining table is filled with her father's endless praises for her brother, while Asemu sits silently, unable to utter a word. In the middle of the night, she was violated by her brother again. But after her brother left in satisfaction, the computer on her desk suddenly lit up with a white light. A website called Magical Girls appears on the screen. A strange-looking girl appeared on the site. She sympathized with Asemu for what happened to her. She offered to give her a gift. Watching the horror on the screen, the timid Asemu immediately turned off the power. But she didn't know. She had become a magical girl herself. The next day, Asemu went to school as usual. However, something unusual awaited her in her shoe locker: a toy gun and a letter. The letter stated that she had become a magical girl and no longer needed to fear others. But Asemu thought it was just a prank and didn't pay much attention to it. After class, she was once again subjected to bullying by her classmates. Unexpectedly, a senior student named Kagemitsu intervened this time. Asemu took a step back, but the students behind her pushed her into Kagemitsu's embrace. Summoning all her strength, Asemu managed to break free and ran away. She sought refuge in the parking garage, but she couldn't escape Kagemitsu's clutches. Just then Kogi took out a collar. Asemu immediately recognized the collar. It's the collar she gave to the kitten. The cat's death filled Asemu with hatred. She pulled out the toy gun and aimed it at Kagemitsu, but this drew ridicule from Kagemitsu and the others. Asemu's pupils gradually turned white, and she pulled the trigger. Kagemitsu and Kogi disappeared in an instant. Not far from the train station, suddenly, a large crowd gathered to watch. Because someone had a car accident. And it was Kagemitsu and Kogi. The news spread throughout the entire school the next day. Teachers organized a memorial for the deceased, and a terrified Asemu could only close her eyes, unable to face the truth. However, a pair of eyes had been watching her all along. Shizuku, Kogi's best friend. Shizuku cornered Asemu against the wall, knowing that Asemu was responsible for the deaths. She pulled out a utility knife, intending to cut out Asemu's tongue. Desperate, Asemu closed her eyes. When she opened them again, Shizuku appeared frozen in place. Suddenly, another hand took the utility knife away. Asemu slumped down, weak and relieved. It was her classmate Numura who saved her. Numura claimed to be a magical girl. Her magic ability was to stop time. Numura couldn't understand why Asemu, possessing such powerful magic, would endure silently. So, she demonstrated how magic should be used. But Asemu couldn't accept it yet. Numura hadn't come to save Asemu without a reason. The so-called Magical Girl website was created to help unfortunate girls by granting them magic wands and powers. Asemu's magic wand was the toy gun, which had the ability to instantly teleport objects. Numura's magic wand was her cell phone, and her ability was to stop time. There were many other magical girls, but not all of them were benevolent. Recently, a magical girl killer had emerged, hunting down other magical girls and stealing their magic wands. Thus, the two of them returned to Asemu's home. Asemu's brother greeted them, although his brother was well disguised in front of outsiders. But Numura could tell that Asemu's brother was not what he seemed. Numura then revealed to Asemu that while their magic abilities were incredible, they couldn't be used limitlessly. Each time they used magic, there would be a corresponding price to pay. Just like when Asamu's eyes bled before, her body would display a heart symbol. Every time she used magic, the heart symbol would diminish until it disappeared entirely, signifying the end of her life. But who created the website? Who was that ghost-like person? No one knew. So, Numira decided to join forces with Asamu to find the magical girl killer. On this day, Asamu encountered a girl named Rina on his way home from school. She's the killer who's been hunting magical girls lately. Numira rushed over and attempted to use magic, but she was a second too slow. Rina had already created a special space with her magic wand, completely isolating them from the outside world. Because Rina has hunted many magical girls, so she now has many magic wands, with the most absurd one being a camera. By taking a picture of someone, she could transform into their likeness. It was through the use of this camera that Rina had obtained her seductive appearance. Rina then brandished her magic wand, preparing to shock Asamu as a way to teach her a lesson. A piercing scream filled the air as Asamu collapsed to the ground, paralyzed by the electric shock. Asamu had a shadow over him from the last experience, so Asamu didn't dare to use his magic wand to fight back. Then Rina took out a hammer and tried to kill her. However, Asamu remained indecisive. Finally, with Numira's persistent encouragement, Asamu mustered the courage to use his magic wand. As the mist cleared, Asamu finally escaped the crisis. Their next task was to determine where Rina had been teleported. Asamu carefully pondered the situation and ultimately found Rina under a bridge. They were able to capture her. Numira wanted to know the reason behind Rina's murders. However, Rina remained silent and withheld any information. Frustrated, Numira took out insects and prepared to force them into her mouth, which compelled Rina to reveal the truth. It turned out that she had been stealing magic wands to protect herself because a storm was approaching, a storm that would leave no one unscathed. But what exactly was this storm? It turns out that the webmaster found Rina not long ago. The administrator told Rina about a hidden page on the site, and when she clicked on it, she found a shocking sight. One day in the future, there will be a storm, and the world will end. The door to a new world will open. Just as Numira and Asamu continued their interrogation, Rina, unable to withstand the backlash from the magic wands, coughed up blood and fell unconscious. Numira and Asamu immediately rushed Rina, who was in a coma, to the hospital. Although the doctors informed them that Rina was out of immediate danger, her physical functions resembled those of an elderly person. At present, it seemed unlikely for her to regain consciousness easily. Numira and Asamu discussed what their next steps should be. During this time, Numira kept recalling what Rina had said and wondered about its meaning. Suddenly, Asamu suggested using magic to awaken Rina. However, they were unaware that the administrator of a website was on the rooftop, observing them.